Hey folks, ET here coming at you with a little talk about Gamma tonight. Everybody always asks a lot of questions about Gamma and kind of how you use it for different positions and what to look for and all those things. So we're just going to cover a few basics here and kind of roll through a few tickers and just show you some different things. We're going to start with SPY. We're on the aggregate right here. Okay, so the aggregate is going to be your overall view of Gamma across the thing. You can go into different expiry filters, which you see every morning me change. We'll check on some regular tickers after we look at SPY here and just see how that all works. So simply put, red attracts and green repels. So if you're looking at this chart right here, you can see small repel levels. Those are the greens, all right? And you can see larger attract levels that are our reds. Now, one of the phrases we use in the Discord all the time is we trade green to green and ignore the in-between. So we'll look at some other tickers to kind of get bigger pictures of that. But a good example would be if SPY were above 610 and it's holding, we're looking for green to green. So we're looking for the range of 610 up to 615. Below 610, we're looking at 610 to 0604 right here. And then if we can't break 604, even though those are small, we're looking down to 596. We look at the big red levels in between to see where it might pull back if it goes in between two things. But we'll go ahead and check some other tickers right now as well. So I'm going to pull up Nvidia here, and we're going to take a look at that. We'll pull up a few others, and we'll just kind of go through and just scan through some of the Gamma and see what everything looks like. So a couple of things you want to pay attention to while you are using Gamma, minus the indices. You do not want to look at net flow for the indices since that is a vehicle for hedging. But when you see net flow that's very one-sided, like this bearish net flow for Nvidia today, one of the things you want to keep an eye on there is where you are in relevance to the Gamma that's going on, and is the flow bullish or bearish. So if you start to get really bullish flow on the net flow and you see Gamma that's above that's pulling, which we'll look, or if you see very bearish and you see Gamma that's below that's pulling, then you know that is a level to start targeting. So we'll go ahead and jump in real quick and just take a look at the Nvidia aggregate right here. Now, taking a very easy look right here, we call these Gamma clusters, and positive Gamma clusters can be very difficult to pass. So, plain and simple, we have repel, repel, repel. To get above all of these, we would need what? That bullish flow up there, okay? And we would need it to Gamma ramp, is what we call it. Past all of these, repel up, repel up, repel up, to get into these pulls right here. If not, guess what? We don't break past these, then we come on back down to probably its biggest pull, which is 122 at some point. But you can also drill down just a little bit and check its weekly to see if there's anything that stands out that's too different. So for this week's expiry, the same thing, that same Gamma cluster right here that we need to repel up and get that Gamma ramp, but we do see bigger pulls above. So if it can break past all of these, could stop around 138 because that is a repel. It does have some bigger pulls above. So what I like to do is I like to go through the weeks. Over the weekend, I like to go through the weeks and kind of start planning out my trades, checking my green to green. See, if you look a little further out, 145 is a higher level, and we show that still that big pull around 138. Very simple. GEX by expiry, I just want to point this out real quick. This is going to show you how much Gamma rolls off on a particular date. So when you see these huge, huge bars like this, be wary of how you're going into a position on a Friday that's going to continue into the next week, because a lot of this Gamma can change when it rolls off. So when I see these big bars, what I like to do is I decide not to carry into a trade. Even if I see something I like, I'd rather miss out than have it go the opposite direction of, say, this rolls off and then we get a bunch of pulls the opposite direction that I'm thinking. We'll go ahead and take another look at a different ticker here. We'll just take a look at, let's say, Microsoft, see what that looks like, and then we'll get you out of here. So going into Microsoft right here, we are seeing a mixed flow, no go for me. You can also go through all of its expiries, kind of take a look there. So you can see long term, it's a little bit more bullish than anything else. And then you want to go back through and you want to look at its aggregate and you want to look at everything else. So forgot to point out that where white is on the chart is where your price is. So When the market is open, you will see a little white bar somewhere where it's close to price. So when these change color, don't worry about that white thing, and it's a different kind of level. It's just the level we're at. So Microsoft's pretty simple here for us as well. If we can hold 400, got a small repel at 410, and then room up to 420. I think we're sitting around 408 last time I checked, so we're right around this range right here. So if we can continue to hold this, we get this. Plain and simple. Over that's the ag. We'll check this week's to see if we see anything different, and then we'll move along. So this week, not too much different. We need to hold 400. Going to be tough to get around 420. So this is a green to green that we can actually trade. If it cannot break 420, then we know that we could take a downside move potentially further down to at least 415. There's some other pulls here, and since we go green to green and ignore the in-between, we could see a full move down. I want to make a very important note about Gamma. I want you to write this down and remember it however you have to. Gamma needs a little bit of a cushion. So when you get up to this 420, let's say you break and you get 420.60, right? And you think, oh, we're long. It's time to go. There's a pull up here. Maybe we'll get to 425. What you really need to pay attention to is if it can hold that on a longer time frame. And some homework for you while writing this down and remembering it, I want you to go look at how many times we've seen a level on any ticker you pull up get above briefly in price or below briefly in price, and then reverse back into its green to green either direction. Because what you're going to see, just trap candles a lot of times, Gamma gets that little bit of a cushion. Everybody gets excited. They think we're breaking out or breaking down, and then they go long or short, and that's where they get messed up because it just goes back to the mean. Very simple look there. So a couple things that you need to keep in mind, a couple notes to pay attention to overall as you go along about GEX by expiry, what greens do, what reds do, and giving Gamma that cushion, and then referencing the net flow on all of the things as well. That is all for now. Everybody stay safe out there.